Thinking is hard. And welcome to ETC. My name is Josh, and this is my beautiful wife,
Bailey.
We have a very interesting topic for you today.
Oh, yes.
I just want to first bring up the beautiful background. I know that those who are listening cannot see it, but just imagine some beautiful lettering.
And the beautiful C that I made.
The beautiful C is little, he needs to eat a sandwich.
Yeah, he's a little thinums.
But there's heart put into it.
Yeah. I asked if I should redo it.
No, you shouldn't redo it.
We're going to get a sign eventually, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But today's episode is about offspring. Children. Having kids. You know, it's a topic that we've thought about and discussed a number of times, and we've been asked about it.
Yep.
And I mean, young people that are married are definitely being asked about it, probably pretty consistently by your own family members. Like, oh, you got married, so when are you having kids?
Yep. Big question. That's the big question.
Yeah, the milestone after you get married is, so when are the kids? When am I going to be a grandparent?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no...
Not for a while.
Well, yeah. Wow, that's the episode, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
listening.
I'll go ahead and add this tidbit, I guess, since I said not for a while. Yeah, I think we definitely want to focus on our own stuff first.
I mean, yeah, there's stuff we want to knock out before we pop out a couple of kids.
Debt.
A couple of juniors.
Career.
Oh, yeah.
You know, especially for me, since I'm obviously going to be the one carrying it, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to have to take a break after a while. So I just want to make sure that I'm like set in stone, because there is that stigma where the woman goes and does her maternity leave and then like someone else replaces her.
Yeah.
So I want to be like irreplaceable before I have a kid, if that makes sense. So, you know, like, so when I come back, I can just jump right in and be like, I didn't miss nothing.
Yeah. Having kids is a big milestone for an entire family, not just the two that are having them. Like, you know, becoming a grandparent is something that I'm sure many mothers and fathers want. It's such a human thing to, you know, want to have kids and have those kids be successful. Or at least you'd hope that the parents would want them to be successful. Unfortunately, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
I think for our generation, what are we, Gen Z / millennial /
We're Gen Z / millennial. I think we're more on the millennial side, though.
Yeah. On the back end of the millennial, but the early part of the Gen Z, I think.
Yeah. I think
I don't know the dates.
For me, like, it's weird. I can kind of tell what part I am. So, like, when I wear stuff, like clothes, I am definitely Gen Z. Like, I wear very much Gen Z clothing, like the edginess, the, like, off-the-shoulder, one pieces type outfits. But when it comes to, like, thoughts and stuff like that, thinking, I'm more on the millennial side. Like, I very much side with my aunt, who's like born in like 1982, and I know she's a millennial, and I very much have almost, I wouldn't say the exact same beliefs as her, but very closely.
I mean, how would you say that Gen Z and millennial have different beliefs? Exactly. I mean, I can see Gen Z maybe being less mature because, I mean, they're younger.
That's it.
But I mean, that's just because they're younger and they grew up in a, you know, different things were popular at the time. So I mean, I personally believe that the Gen Z and millennial generations are actually quite similar. It's just that their maturity level is different. There's some difference in age.
Clothing. So
and with that comes clothing.
It's definitely like the trend. So for millennials, they still do skinny jeans. With the Gen Zs, they do mom jeans. I personally think the mom jeans fit me way better than skinny jeans, but
that's why they took it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, those skinny jeans are way overrated.
Yeah, mom jeans are from like the 90s.
Making a comeback.
I'm so sorry. The mom jeans are from the 80s and the 90s. Yeah, it's definitely it's more of an 80s thing, but I like them.
And then the 2000s popularized the skinny jeans.
Oh, and then they started popularizing the low-cut jeans. They're not even high-waisted anymore. They're low-cut. Mm-hmm. So the guys wear low-waisted. I've never seen anyone wear high-waisted.
Let's say they're
like the dudes.
I mean,
I've never seen a dude wear high-waisted jeans.
Well, no.
But like the girls, they don't. For me, I'm not gonna speak for all of them, but for me, I do not like wearing low-cut jeans because I can feel all that like mid-stomach fat. High-waisted jeans, you can cover that up. Just like sweatpants, you can pull it up. Like shorts, you can pull it up. You don't have to show any of that. So anyway,
okay, I think we're going way off on a tangent.
Yeah, we're talking about now. Trends
and fashion. Welcome to the fashion show. You hear all the time that like millennial and Gen Z generations are just not having as many kids. You know, I mean, with all the doom and gloom of the news and stuff, it's I can see that being a reason why.
Oh, Terrified.
They're
Terrified.
terrified of the future, and not being scared to bring life into the planet that they can't support and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
There's just so much going on right now that I'm just like, I'm uncertain if I want to do that. I know I want to in the future, but right now, absolutely not. And it's already stressful just thinking about us two living in it. Why bring someone else into that craziness as well right now? It's kind of...
we're not here to tell you when you should or should not have kids. We're just expressing, I guess, how we feel about it.
You can have your own thoughts about it too. And you can also share them with us too, because we like hearing different points of view and, all that fun stuff.
Okay, so I've got a TikTok here. Okay, so let me go ahead and put the TikTok up. If you are listening, you probably will not see it, but we'll make a link to it so you can watch it, but you'll at least be able to hear it.
Oh. These ungrateful shits, millennials or whatever it is, sitting around saying we didn't have any emotional support. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh boy.
Where the fuck you think we had emotional support growing up? Shut the fuck up.
Oh, spicy.
So her video was in response as a support video to this one here, another Gen Xer saying, when you work 2 jobs to give them everything, and they reply, I raised myself. It's obviously a very hurtful sentiment, especially someone working 2 jobs. And the comments, which are now turned off, were filled of disparaging remarks from millennial and younger saying, yeah, actually, you know what? We did raise ourselves. There was plenty of emotional support that needed to be given, and we had to find it ourselves. You do not get that credit. I wanted to make this video not to try and chastise Gen X and older generations about their parenting styles and their lack of emotional intelligence when raising their children, but as a testament to the new generation of parents that are coming out right now. Most of us have had at least 1 or 2 toxic parents tell us that the only thing that I owe you is food, shelter, and clothing. Get it together and deal with it yourself. I'm sure there's a few outliers in Gen X and baby boomers, and I applaud you for being the minority in that, but millennial parents do not think that that's enough. Older generations will use the excuse, well, I didn't get it when I was a kid, so you're not getting it now, as a reason for their incompetence. Millennials feel like that is a cop-out. Millennials feel it is their responsibility as a parent to provide their child with the information that would best serve them. After all, they are our children, and we want the best for them. So I want to take this moment to applaud any parent who is making the steps to end generational trauma. Any parent who is putting emotional needs on that list of priorities needed to raise a child. To the parents that are struggling on where to get started to be that parent for your kid, sometimes just validating how they feel can be the most powerful tool. Your kids are going to find someone to be there for them if you're not.
Mood. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just because you didn't receive the emotional support that you probably needed doesn't mean the next generation should suffer. Yeah, I mean it's not like hey, that's already done and gone. Like, you not providing emotional support for that generation, it's already happened. What are you gonna do now?
I just it makes me laugh.
Really?
Yeah, it makes me angry. So
it makes you angry.
It makes me so mad. I don't think that those people should have kids. Sorry.
Well, it's too late.
It's too late. They already did it, and it leaves mental trauma on.
I mean, not just that, but
on them forever.
It can create more parents that are like them and don't provide that mental support that their children need. Like you said, it doesn't need to be. You need to be a therapist. You don't need to go to therapy school. You just hey, how you feeling, bud?
Yeah, treat them with courtesy and respect. If they're having a bad day, you don't just go,
oh, that's too bad. All right, you're gonna go mow the lawn.
Yeah, oh, that's too bad, or oh, that's life. Don't you hate that? I personally
just work harder.
I personally hate when I'm told, oh, that's life. That's just how life is. That doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
That's the worst response to give someone is when you're having a bad day or when something happens that you didn't expect to happen. It's oh, that's life. Okay, well, what about a different response? Can we talk about the different responses that you may be able to get?
I mean, it may be a situation that you can't change, but you don't need to tell it to your kid in a way that hey, look, your life is going to be horrible and you just got to deal with that.
That's awful.
I mean, life is
be
difficult. I mean, unless you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, life is going to be challenging.
Well, life is going to be challenging at times. It's not a great mindset to have, to be told oh, that's life, because then now you're going to have this whole mindset of oh, my life is always going to have issues and difficult paths that I have to take. It's not always like that. It will be like that sometimes, but it will not be like that always.
I had the personal view that I need to make the best of any situation, good or bad, even though many situations I encounter will be bad. I mean, I'll make the best of it. And I think that's a good thing to share with kids. That, hey, look, you're going to run into difficulties, but it's how you deal with them that you need to focus more on than the difficulty itself.
Yeah, I
you
agree.
know, like how are you going to respond to a bad situation, and not so much you just need to deal with it. Like, hey, here's the appropriate response for a poor situation. You know, take a minute, assess the situation, and then go for something.
Well, and that's another thing, like getting kids to respond to things. And also, going on to the next topic, getting kids prepared for their own life. Being able to, you know, take care of yourself as well at times. Like remembering your stuff, remembering like for you, you know, it's not always going to be your parents telling you, hey, you have a game tonight and you need to bring this, and this.
Yeah.
It's going to be at times, probably like for us, I would like to say middle school, like 7th or 8th grade, where I'm going to be like, hey,
You need to keep track of your stuff.
you need to keep track of your stuff. Like this is around the time where you need to start learning at least, you know, a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Your schedule, your responsibilities.
Responsibilities. Yeah, you need to learn a little more about your responsibilities. So we actually have another TikTok to watch. And this one's basically where a dad had dropped his son off for band practice.
School. I think he was taking him to school.
I think he was taking him to band practice.
It was to band practice,
and he forgot all of his stuff. And so he went to his house 3 different times because he had forgotten his lunch. We'll just show you.
Okay.
Listen, before I even get going, I want to make it clear. I'm going to be talking some shit about my son. He's 12. And yesterday, I went back and forth to his school 3 different times because he kept forgetting things. I was dropping him off for track in the morning. He goes, I forgot my band uniform. Can you get it for me? I got you. He said he'd text me exactly what he needed. He didn't text me. So I got him what I thought he needed. He sends me a text after he retrieves the item, says, Dad, you didn't bring me my black socks. Oh, my boy, I'm sorry. So I brought him his black fucking socks. Then, he's at his little event. I'm reviewing the email. The kid was supposed to bring a lunch because he was going to miss his school lunch block. So being the incredibly awesome dad that I am, ran to Starbucks, grabbed him a delicious sandwich of some kind, delivered it to the event for him.
Sandwich.
Stop clapping. I know how good I am. But today was the straw that broke the dad camel's back. Let's get into it. Can you drop me off some money? What do I look like? A dollar bill Sherpa? $10. I wanted to come up a little strong at first. Sorry, dude, but I can't get there today. Even though I could. This dude comes at me. You can't even drop off money at like 1 to 2. It's like, do you know my schedule?
You know what's really funny? We're watching the rest of this video live right now because I don't remember this.
We didn't watch it all. We stopped watching it.
We kept it for right now.
Yeah.
We actually stopped it.
We didn't get to the money part. We didn't get to the money part.
We did not get to the money part. And I'm about to... Okay, I'm going to go. I'm just going to let it go. Yep.
Okay.
Bro, do you have like access to my calendar? I'm working at Wicked Bold today, my dude.
Ooh.
You know, our family business.
Around.
Heard of it? It's also for snacks at the color run. So I'm not hungry the entire time. Don't tug at my heartstrings. That is ineffective to me. But obviously I'm a great dad, so I left it at the office. But also wanted to just dabble a little shit talk, and if you need anything else, please don't hesitate to reach out to me so I can get it to you immediately. I'm now gonna go home and sit on the couch awaiting your next need.
Nice.
So... That's a no for me, dog.
So
the first time, absolutely. Like, if our child forgot their lunch, like, I would absolutely ask.
First time,
if I was the
shame
boss,
on me.
I would go. But if I had a boss, I would be like, hey, I gotta stop by the house. My son/daughter left their lunch at home, and they're texting me. The school just called me and asked me to bring it. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna bring it to them.
Oh yeah.
But then if they're taking advantage of me having the time to do something nice for them and be there for them and be like, hey, drop me off money. Hey, drop me off this.
Yeah.
My black socks, things that are my like minuscule things that they don't really, they need, but they don't.
Things that could have been prevented.
Things that they could have planned for, like socks. You should have grabbed those on your way out.
Yeah.
Money. You could have asked me this morning when I dropped you off. Where were these things this morning that you could have talked to me about? What were you thinking earlier? You know, and I'm not trying to make it sound like they didn't have other things on their mind because they're 12. They have tons of things on their mind. They have tons of things going on.
Yeah.
They're changing. They're 12.
They got friends, activities, school itself.
Yeah, but it's just the fact that it's like the irresponsibility for me and kind of the disrespect for me.
There was some disrespect there.
That was disrespectful. Like, that's disrespectful to him and his time. He's at work.
Yeah.
He can't just be like at your beck and call and be like,
Right.
all right, I'm on my way every time.
Yeah.
You know, you get busy. Parents are always busy.
But I don't think that disrespect comes from nowhere. I think for most, kids are their own people and they can make their own decisions and they have, free will and all that. But their actions and their disrespect don't just come from nowhere. You don't raise a kid that's respectful and kind and then suddenly they snap.
There's another thing I want to talk about. So when parents disrespect their kid and then the child cannot disrespect them back. Let me kind of like dive into that a little bit deeper. So let's say like the mom or dad, whatever, says something kind of snarky and not very nice to the son or daughter. Well, of course, the son or daughter at, 12, 13 would say something back, but they get in trouble for it. Yeah, they're hurt. They should have the opportunity to say
hurt,
back.
They're hurt, and from what they've seen from their parents, the appropriate way to get back or to defend themselves is to be snarky back.
Well, and that also, it's just like a full circle. Like, they can't say anything back now. So in their later life, in their later years, they're going to let it slide. They're going to let things slide. They're not going to talk about it. And it's all going to, it all makes sense. It makes sense. It's all going to build up in their brain.
Well,
and they're not going to want to tell anyone anything. Like, let's say now they're with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and their girlfriend or boyfriend says something mean to them. They're going to keep it inside because if they say something back, they know they're going to get in trouble for it.
There's not proper communication.
There's no proper communication.
Be that they in turn be sassy back or they don't say anything.
It's like kind of emotional abuse a little bit because they don't have the opportunity to express themselves, so now they're just keeping it in.
Well, it is emotional abuse, I'd say.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
To them, they have their thoughts too. They should be able to tell their parents like, hey, that was really hurtful.
Yeah.
But instead, some parents respond as, I don't care. I'm the parent here.
Yeah, I'm the adult.
Yeah,
I'm
like
not your friend.
It's like narcissist, and it's awful.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of our generation, actually.
Yeah. A parent is not necessarily supposed to be your friend, but your parent is supposed to be someone that you can turn to in time of crisis or need, or, you just need someone to talk to.
Yeah. Like, I know for me, like, my mom was someone I could always turn to, whether there was, because as all kids do and as all parents do, they have issues with their like family sometimes, or like parent has issues with the child. But I always knew that I could go to my mom for anything, whether there was an issue or not. There's someone that I could talk to, and that in turn helped me be able to help others as well. It's kind of unfortunate when people have kids and their
emotional intelligence is not in a position that they can, hear their kids out.
Yeah.
They may not
affects them in the long
they
run.
may not see their kids as, individuals even, which sounds extreme, but I mean, in the very base of it, if you aren't listening to what your kid is saying, it's because you don't respect them as a person.
All right, so let's get into the more juicy stuff.
Juicy.
Yeah. So, do we want kids?
I'd say yes.
Yeah. Like at the beginning of this episode, of course, I expressed that I do want children, but obviously not right now.
I think our decision to wait could be a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing because if I personally for me, I think that it would be a good thing because we would have more money for them. If we were to have kids now, we would be low on funds and we wouldn't be able to sign them. We wouldn't be able to sign them up for anything they wanted to do. So like I work at an after school program.
Well,
so
you work with kids.
I work with kids. I also know how much it is to have a kid, to put their child in something that they want to do, like sports and after school and all these things, summer camp. I mean, summer camp here in Florida is $167 a week. A week.
Oof.
And after school is $83. After school is like half the time of summer camp, by the way.
Yeah.
So they're not really there with us for a long time, but there's still that amount of money you have to pay each week. And even if there are weeks that you have off, you still have to pay. Like even for spring break, for Christmas break, Thanksgiving break, you still have to pay for the week you're not even there. It still comes out of your paycheck. So for me,
a lot of places do that.
Ever since I started
Daycares.
working at this after school, I have definitely changed my mind. Like at first I was like, I want to have kids by like 25, 26, 27.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, I'm thinking 30,
Yeah.
maybe 31. 30s is not a bad time to have kids because you don't have to be in your 20s to be all put together. You can be in your 30s, still be working on yourself and working towards things that you want, and then you have kids.
Yeah, I think it's important to, like, if you're going to say that you want to have kids later, it can be important to have something that, once we reach this, then we can have kids. Because otherwise we might just be saying, we'll have kids later. We'll have kids later. We'll have kids later. And then by the time you try and have kids, it's like, it's going to be really hard. Or you can't have kids, I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
That sort of thing. So
yeah.
I think it's important to set like a flag to meet. Like, kind of like you said, being in a position with my career that I can support that. In my mind, I have later, and also in my mind, I should set a a goal to reach.
So, do we have any names picked out?
Oh my gosh.
So, something I talked to Josh about was neutral names. So, not knowing the gender until the day of is something that we've briefly talked about. I still want some sort of like a shower,
yeah,
a baby shower. And we would have what was that TikTok we saw where it was like people don't bring things that are pink or blue, they bring things that you need.
Yeah, they
like
bring you
diapers
stuff
and
that you actually need
like
because they don't know the gender. They're not going to bring you baby clothes unless it's like gender neutral baby clothes, which is not, I'd say, probably not as common.
But honestly, I think at this point we should be past the whole color thing.
Oh, you mean as a society or just
as
you
a society?
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, the pink and blue color.
So, so I'll go ahead and read off some of the names we have. So they are very neutral. We have Scout, which I think is one of my favorite.
It's okay.
I know he's not a big fan of that one. I think that is so cute. And one of the more famous TikTok moms has her daughter named Scout, and I thought that was really cool too, because that's always been a name in the back of my head that I liked. So it was cool to see like that it doesn't have to be a boy name. So Lane, Kyler, Sage. I know you're not a big fan of Sage.
Sage is a little.
I've met a boy named Sage.
I've
also met a girl named Sage too. I think that when it comes to us having kids in the future, there are some things that they need to learn how to do or they need to experience, like dating in high school.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one. I've also known some of my friends who did not date in high school. And now they're trying to.
Fantastic.
And they're trying to date in college, and it's like a show right now.
Yeah.
Like, them trying to date in college is. Everyone wants to hook up in college, high school is where you can kind of see what you like about boys and girls, see what you don't like, and then find someone that fits all the areas that you do like, I
mean, sometimes
and obviously some people have quirks and stuff, but you can get over those. Everyone's got their own quirks, so.
I mean, I think high school is an important time. I think it's not a time to find your soulmate, despite the fact that we kind of found each other right after high school. We
found each other 2 days after we graduated high school. I wouldn't say we met in high school. I feel like we met
after.
Yeah, literally after.
Right after. But I think high school is an important time to learn how to date, really. And it's a good time for parents to give advice on dating. When you're of that age, you're not thinking, I'm only dating, I'm not trying to find my soulmate. You're probably thinking, I'm going to love this person for the rest of my life, which is where a lot of high school drama comes from. Yeah, I think it's an important time for kids to learn, the people that they like and what they should do in a healthy relationship. But when they're a toddler, I think it comes down to, the basics of like sharing, being kind, understanding right and wrong. You should be a good human being. And then when they start going to, I guess it would be like elementary and then I suppose middle school, it's like how to treat other people in an emotional way. Because when you're a toddler, you learn to treat people well in a physical way because their mental capacity hasn't gotten to the point where they understand emotions completely. Their
emotions are
they're experiencing emotions, but
like a thing that can happen to a 3-year-old, they like scrape their knee.
That literally is the worst thing that's ever happened to them in their entire life.
Yeah, it's the worst thing that happened.
Literally the worst thing.
Because it is.
Because they've only been around for 3 years.
And if you think about it, kids that are this high are experiencing an emotion that's this big. For the audio listeners, it's like a peanut experiencing like an elephant stepping on the peanut.
Yeah. So sadness is
Huge.
Like full adult sadness, but for someone that has the experience of 3 years, like life experience of 3 years. When they're a toddler, physical understanding is important because it's the first thing that they can affect is their physical environment around them. And they'll experience those emotions, but they need that experience before they get to like their elementary and middle school, where they start learning emotional intelligence, where they need to understand that, hey, people have feelings. I think during the elementary and more so middle school, I think they learn how to, how to treat people that work in restaurants and stuff the most. I mean, by the time they get to high school, they've already set in their ways of how they're going to treat people emotionally.
Well, and that's another thing. You're working in high school, right? If our kids work in high school, they now know how to treat those workers that they're in the job right now for. If they're in a job for fast food, they've experienced terrible people yelling at them for something. They're going to go into a restaurant and treat them the way they want to be treated at their own restaurant.
I can see that.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. So I think I know why our name is called End of Thought Capacity, because we're supposed to be talking about kids, but we do talk about everything else in between having kids and being kids too. The next topic we're going to talk about is kids and dealing with divorce.
Or separated mother and father.
Yeah.
I think, which can be a pretty spicy one.
Trigger warning.
A bit of a trigger warning. We do have a TikTok available. Should we pull that up now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your father and I are getting a divorce.
Amazing. This is great news.
No, I mean our marriage is ending.
As it should. As it absolutely should.
So, are you not sad or?
Sad. No, not at all.
Okay, well, if any feelings of sadness come up, I want you to know that I'm here to process those with you.
Oh, thank you. I want to ask this up front. Is it inappropriate if I throw a party?
That's pretty good. Disclaimer, both of our parents have divorced. No shade to our parents.
No.
Life happens, and sometimes you marry the person you probably shouldn't have married.
You go.
So I think that is a very relatable thing. I can't say that I was happy that my parents divorced, like it appeared to be in that TikTok. But when I went to the therapist, the child therapist.
Oh, you went to a child therapist?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, my brother and I did. We went to a child therapist, and not a child therapist, but a marriage counselor.
Oh.
Who was there for us as sort of a child therapist.
Okay, like parent coordinating type thing.
Yeah, like my mom and my dad would go in another room, and we'd be stuck in like a game room with old games and stuff like that.
Did you have to do the church parent thing? There was a church thing that my mom signed us up for when my dad and my mom got not freshly it was pretty freshly divorced. It was like a divorced parents type thing for kids at a church, and I can't remember what it was called. I don't remember, but I didn't do that. It was just like a kind of like a safe space with our like church members and the parents and the kids, and there would be like fun things to do. Like we would have like divorce night outs. It sounds awful. It really does. It sounds terrible, but it was fun to like meet other people, other kids who are going through the same thing at the same time, whether younger or older. I didn't get a child therapist, but I wish I did.
Neither did I. But we went to this lady's house, and she was a counselor, a marriage counselor. And my dad and my mom would go into the other room, and my brother and I would be stuck in like some upstairs room with like, imagine a foosball table, but like half the people are missing, and there's only one ball, and then you lose it on the first day. Or like there's like half toys and just a crap load of stuffed animals. And this was... we didn't own any like Game Boys or anything at the time.
Oh boy.
Or smartphones. Mm-hmm. So we were bored out of our minds. So going to the marriage counselor was so incredibly boring. And I wasn't necessarily sad during that time. It's not like I was like, oh no, my parents are separating. I was kind of relieved after they had, separated, that I wouldn't have to experience the yelling anymore.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to experience the arguments anymore.
I distinctly remember a time where my parents were yelling in the room, and I got up and I literally was like, shut up!
I love
and my brother came in because he was crying. Like Cameron was crying. It was just not a good thing. And it's not any fault to either of my parents. And I also wasn't terribly upset that they were getting divorced. I think the most upsetting thing was watching my dad from like, I remember this like it was yesterday, watching my dad drive away in his like gray Xterra with our dog Winston at the time. You know, it sucked. Like my brother and I were crying, but like my mom was happy, and then I realized why she was happy, because all of the crap was ending and he was moving, or vice versa. He was moving and now the crap was done for him.
Yeah.
And they had done, I'm not sure if they ever did marriage counseling. We never knew about that. They kept things pretty closed in, except that one night they were yelling.
Yeah.
But my mom would sleep in her bed. My dad would sleep in my brother's room, and my brother would sleep in the bed with my mom.
Wow.
And like it felt like my whole world was falling apart, basically kind of like a 3-year-old where they scrape their knee. It's like you're 12 years old and you're experiencing something that involves your family and involves you, so you have no idea where your life is going to go afterwards. You have no clue how it's going to affect you, not having both parents around.
So I guess you were more upset about the change in lifestyle more so than your parents actually separating.
I think so.
Or the fear of change in your lifestyle.
I think the fear of change, and also just not having them both around. Like I was with my mom all the time, but my dad moved to Arizona.
Right.
And we were freshly moving to Texas like 2 days after he had left in his Xterra with Winston. Yeah. So, you know, it was a complete change, and he was going further, and now we were going to be further apart. So, yeah. And my dad and I, when I was younger, were really close at times. So it was also hard to watch him go and have my brother have his person, which is my mom, and me lose mine, if that makes any sense. But then I also gained someone who could do both roles for me.
Yeah. I think in terms of a kid being upset about their parents divorcing, I think that can happen more so when the kid is very close to both parents and the parents hide the issues in their relationship from their kid. And so this kid has this idea that, oh, the relationship is great and they look great together.
Yeah.
And then when suddenly, surprise, we're getting divorced, that can, you know, it's like, wait, what?
That's crazy.
Then no, you guys are cool. Why are you,
I could see how that could throw a child off.
You know,
and
but
make
like
them...
in a relationship where the children see the issues in the relationship, they may not understand them, but they see the issues in the relationship. I can see how kids may be happy that their parents are divorcing if they understand what divorce means. Yeah. And they're like, oh, they're gonna separate. Wow, I don't actually have to hear the yelling anymore. Yeah. Bye. Get out of here. Yeah. Scram. I mean, I'll hang out with you later, but scram. Yeah. You know.
Well, and there's that like nice thing where like the parents still are in the area, but they're separating too. Yeah. I mean, like for me, mine was like opposite ends. Mm-hmm. But with some people, their family's still around, they just aren't living in the same house anymore.
Right. And I think for kids, it depends on how the parents handled the issues in the relationship. If it was a healthy, like if it appeared to be a healthy relationship to the kid, then I can see that really screwing them up. Oh yeah. But if it appeared to be an unhealthy relationship pretty much the entire time, or at least from what they're experienced, I think in closing, a kid kind of may not realize it, but they kind of need both of those parents, or at least two parent figures, or at least parental figures besides one person. Yeah. And when they realize that one of them may be gone or one of them may be leaving in their life, that can be harmful, especially if they made a good relationship with them. Yeah. So I think even with divorce or with parents that aren't married and had a kid separating, it's important to keep those parents in that kid's life, you know, because they don't completely understand what's going on. They don't understand the relationship.
That's another thing. It is not fully the child's responsibility to keep up with the parents. The parents had the child. They should also be keeping up with the child. Yeah. Parents out there, call your child, please. Oh my gosh.
I'll say even having kids in a time like now, you know, a time that the future doesn't look super bright, raising children to be, you know, brave and strong in a time like this is a powerful thing to do.
I still to this day think that the COVID babies are going to be some of the smartest people ever.
You think so?
I think so. I think those kids are going to be some of the
they're going to go on to like
most clean, most professional. Yeah, I feel like they will. Because they've had the most time at home to kind of like, and of course I'm thinking, you know, some of them will be a little bit traumatized because they've been inside for a majority of their entire life. But a lot of them are going to be very, very smart. So that's today's episode. We just wanted to talk a little bit about our experiences as kids, having kids, and then future generations having kids. So if you guys have any comments or questions or anything like that, you guys can always drop them in our Facebook and also our Instagram, as well as you guys can follow us on TikTok. And yeah, we'll see you guys on episode 3, which will drop on March 20 something, maybe April. Episode 3. You'll see us on episode 3. We'll let you know what topic it is.
All right.
Okay. Bye.